After learning that why air preheater is needed in a thermal power plant, its role, how it contributes in increasing the thermal efficiency, its type, there are two types which we discussed, that is a recuperative type, regenerative type. So now we will discuss about the constructional detail of air preheater, that is basically Langstroth type regenerative. So our focus will be only over this Langstroth type regenerative air preheater. So this type of air preheater is consists of following major components. So the first one is guide and support bearing assembly. Basically, it is a rotating equipment. So bearing is required to support it and guide it. So this is the first important component. Then comes upper and lower connecting plates. Details we will see in coming slides. Sector plates, which divides or which make its partition for flue gas path and primary air and secondary air path. Rotor housing, a total rotating system where it is housed, and that is basically octagonal shape. That is in octagonal shape. Then fifth one is the rotor itself. Then the drive unit which rotates the rotor, that consists of air motor and electrical motor with a rack and pinion arrangement. The details we will see. Then sealing system and other supporting system. So now one by one we will see. This is basically our rotor which rotates. These are the segments in which that heat absorbing material is filled in these slots. The second one is the housing which houses the rotor. Then third component is upper connecting plate and lower connecting plate. Fourth one is the sector plates, which actually is kept like this. Detail we will see. So this is sector plates, upper and lower. Then fifth is driving unit, and sixth is guide bearing trunnion and support bearing trunnion. So this is basically major components of air preheater. Now we will see the constructional detail of rotor basically. So this is trunnion pin. The total this segment is divided by radial plates. These are the radial plates. These are the radial plates like this. Similarly here. And each this sector, this total is divided with the help of division plate. These are the division plates that creates the housing for the heat absorbing material. So heat absorbing material is filled in this area, in here like that. So this total empty space is packed by the heat absorbing material. This is our rotor housing. It houses the rotor. Rotor rotates inside this housing. In this picture, you can see that the rotor is having three tier arrangement. So this upper part, it is hot end air which comes in contact with the hot flue gas. Then there is an intermediate layer, this one, and the bottommost is the cold end layer. And as we discussed earlier, all these segments which are filled with the heating elements, and they are like this. These are the in between heating element which are filled here. In these sectors, they are segments, they are filled, which absorbs basically heat of the flue gas in first rotation, and when it comes across the cold fluid, it releases its heat. So the sectors are filled by the carbon steel fins. These are the fins, and they are having undulation. Undulation means this wavy shape, this folding. So in view of this heat transfer, because these actually increases the surface area and increases the heat absorption finally. Here it is more clearly seen that these are the notches, and this folding what you are getting here to accommodate inside the basket, they are folded. This is called undulation. Now we will see the heat absorbing element types. Basically, they are being selected on the basis of certain requirements. The first one is heat transfer requirement, how much heat transfer is required, then how much pressure drop is required, and third one is the ease of cleanability. So based on all these requirements, there are different type of elements. So the first one, some of them is elaborated here. So the first one is double undulated, that is DU. This is double undulated type. Second one is DN oblique DL type. So DN signifies double notched. It is used where we require reduced fouling and better cleanability. Then comes DL type of elements. This is known as double notched loosed packed. So DL represents the double knot loosed packed. So this is DL type. It is loose packed. It also offers the better cleanability. Then comes, this is FNC. It is flat notched cross type, and it offers higher thermal efficiency and lower pressure drop. Like this, there are different other types. NF is notched flat, and NU is notched undulation. So these are basically types of element, that is heat absorbing element through which that sectors of air preheater are packed. The rotor guide bearing and support bearing of each air preheater has independent lubrication arrangement, which consists of two oil pump one main and one standby. If suppose the main fails, then standby comes in picture. Then oil tank for supply of this lube oil, filters to filter the contaminated oil, and two oil coolers where the oil which gets heated during that cooling process, lubrication process, that will be cooled. Then support bearing, it is spherical roller thrust type of bearing, and it is housed at the bottom trunnion of the APH rotor and filled up with lube oil and takes care of entire load of air preheater. So support bearing's main function is to take the entire load of the air preheater. Oil is circulated through lubrication skid and which removes heat out of the bearing. Once this heated lube oil comes out, it is sent to the oil coolers to cool it. Then guide bearing, it is spherical roller type of bearing and it is located at the top trunnion of the air preheater rotor, and it takes basically axial expansion of the rotor. Because of the heat, there may be thermal expansion in axial direction. So guide bearing takes care of the axial expansion, and support bearing is basically to take the load. So here a schematic, or rather you can say pictures of different dual system is given here. So this is total lubrication oil system from where that lube oil is supplied. Then the support bearing arrangement which takes the total load of the air preheater, and these are the cleaning arrangements, cleaning devices. This is a driving unit which rotates the rotor, and it is a rack and pinion arrangement. You might have seen the sprocket and chain of the cycle. So this is just like this. There is a projection gear is there, and one ring will be there that we will see in next slide on the circumference of the rotor, which get engaged with this, and this rotates at very slow RPM, that is 1, 2 to 3 RPM. This speed is slow so that it can get better time for heat transfer. So this is the pin rack that is on rotor. So this portion will get engaged with the rotor drive unit here, and once it rotates, it will also rotate this total rotor. So here you can see, here it is more clearly visible that how that rotor drive unit projection is engaged in the pin rack of, this is pin rack of rotor unit. Again I will show you the figure, this portion, and this is this particular thing, this is of the driver unit. So this is the schematic where you can see this is electrical motor, then coupling, clutch box, then gearbox for speed reduction, then it is overrunning clutch and air motor. So the speed of the motor, or the speed which is transmitted by the motor, is reduced with the help of this gear. Once this electric motor fails because of the failure in supply, so we have to keep this air filter rotating. In that case, this air motor will be used. The APH is required to be started before starting the boiler, and also to be kept in rotation for some time after the stopping of boiler to avoid uneven expansion and contraction resulting wrapping and cracking of rotor. Now we will discuss about the leakage, that is a critical thing which affects the performance of air preheater. Before that we will see, here you can see this is guide bearing. This end is called hot end because this flue gas enters from this side, it leaves from this side, the cold air enters from this side and get out from this side. So this side it is cold air, the temperature is less. Even the flue gas, after transferring its heat to the cold air, it also comes out with lower temperature. So this end is known as cold end and this is your hot end. I feel that before going to the air preheater leakages, first we should see that APH sealing system. Then it will be better to understand how that leakage takes place and what are the reasons of air preheater leakage. So the purpose of sealing system is to avoid the leakage of air into the flue gas across the rotating air preheater due to the differential pressure of air and flue gas. So why this leakage takes place? Because from this figure you can see this portion contains the fresh cold air which is passing, after passing through it, get heated and the flue gas enters from this side, goes out and this rotates. So there will be always a differential pressure existing in the system, due to which there may be a chances of short circuiting of that fresh air or cold air into the flue gas. In general, this airflow is having higher pressure level in comparison with the gas stream. So here higher pressure in this area, this is lower pressure zone in comparison with the cold air or air path. So there are different types of seals. The ultimate purpose of providing sealing is to avoid the leakage and short circuiting of the air path with the flue gas path. So there are following type of seals that is used with air preheater. That is radial seal for first one, then axial seals we will see in detail in coming slides, then bypass seal and rotor post seal. Now we will see what is the purpose of providing radial seals. So it minimizes the leakage of air into gas side, as we had discussed earlier. The air side has got more pressure in comparison with the gas side through the clearance between the rotor and sector plates. So in next slide we will see where the positioning of rotor and sector plates are respectively there in the radial direction at both hot and cold end. Sector plates are attached in the center of the upper and lower connecting plates, and seals are bolted along the top and bottom edges of the radial plates. This is very important, and they wear against the machined surface of the sector plate during the rotation of rotor. So it will be better if we can see the side by side both the arrangements. So these are our top sector plates. This is bottom sector plate. The purpose of providing radial seal is to prevent the short circuiting of air with gas in radial direction. So these are the seals that are bolted, and when this rotor rotates, they wear against the machined surface of the top sector plate and bottom sector plate. So this you can see from this slide. It will elaborate in better manner. Just a minute. So this is radial direction, and this is the projected portion. This is what you are seeing here. This is radial seals. On top there will be the positioning of sector plates like this, top and bottom, which we had seen earlier here. So when this rotor rotates, this also rotates, and these projected radial seals bear against the contact surfaces of top sector plate and bottom sector plate. So from here you can see the radial seal. So these are the radial seals. And they are bolted. You can see here bolted on the projection in radial direction. Here also you can see the heat absorbing elements. They are packed in these sectors. The second one is the axial seals. Its function is to minimize the leakage of air around the rotor shell into the gas side of the air preheater. That you remember, it is gas side of the air preheater. That seals attached to the outside of the rotor shell in the radial plates parallel to the rotor axis. These seals wear against the axial seal plates which are mounted in the rotor housing through main pedestal and supporting feet. The detail we will see in the coming slide. So these are our axial seals. So this is our axis, and they are along this axis. That's why they are called the axial seals, and they prevent the leakage between this rotor and the housing of this rotor in axial direction. Next seal is the bypass seal. The purpose of providing bypass seal is to minimize the escaping of air and flue gas from heat transfer elements through the gap between the rotor and the housing of the air preheater. The angles are bolted to the top and bottom periphery of the rotor shell, and T-bars are bolted to these angles. From here you can see this is the upper part of the rotor, and this is the lower part of the rotor, and T-bars are bolted on the upper part and lower part to the angles provided there. Then bypass seals are bolted to the angles provided in the connecting plates, and these T-bars bear against the bypass seals during the rotation of rotor to provide sealing. So suppose this is our housing and this is rotor, and in between there is a clearance for allowing the rotation of this rotor. So if this projection will not be provided there in shape of the T, you can see it is in form of T. Then chances of escaping air and flue gas without coming in contact with the heat absorbing element will be always there, and that will drop the efficiency of air preheater. So by providing this T or this extended portion, it prevents the leaking of air or gas, flue gas, through this passage. So that actually prevents the bypassing of air and flue gas without coming in contact with the heat absorbing element. The next one is rotor post seals. The purpose of rotor post seal is to minimize the leakage of air around the rotor post into the gas side of the air preheater. So if suppose this is this is rotor post sealing system. These are the sector plates. This is radial seal, you can see here. This is rotor post seal, and this is your seal ring. So after learning about the air preheater, its functioning, its constructional details, and different types of seal that is used there, now one of the more important area, or that is the more critical area, is air preheater leakages. That not only affects the performance of air preheater but also affects the thermal efficiency of power plant. So this air preheater leakage actually occurs because of the pressure difference between the high pressure of the air side and low pressure of the flue gas side. So this is cold air side, this is flue gas side. Why this pressure difference is there? Because this cold air is either supplied by the FD fan if it is the secondary air, or it will be supplied by the primary air fan. So all these two fans develops the positive pressure while this flue gas is being sucked by the ID fan. So there will be a pressure difference, and this side, that cold air side, will be at higher pressure, in comparison with this side that is at low pressure. So this leakage is because of the differential pressure. There are some other reasons, that is the increased seal clearance in hard condition. Generally that seal clearances increases during the hard condition because of the seal erosion with the span of time and improper seal setting. So these are the reasons due to which the leakage or short circuiting between that cold air and hot flue gases may occur. Second reason is that because of the direct flow of air through gaps between rotating and fixed structure. So this is fixed structure, that is housing, and this is the rotary portion which is rotating, that is rotor. So there is a gap, so chances of air escaping through these gaps may be there. The relation, that is leakage, is equivalent to the gap area into the density of the fluid into differential pressure divided by 2. There is one another chance, that is the entrainment of the air in the porous heat absorbing element, which is being carried while rotation from air side to the gas side. Means the cold air is going through this side, some air may be entrained or it may be locked up, and that will be, while rotation, that will go to the flue gas side. So here you can see the leakage path, one that is going. This is between the rotor and the stationary part, that is housing. Second is through the post seals, that is rotor post seal. So there are three paths, one is A, then B and C. So these are basically leakage paths. So what happens with the increased air heater leakages? The first thing is that it reduced air heater's efficiency. It will increase the fan power consumption as to supply the same amount of air. Some portion has lost because of the leakage, so fan has to work more. ESP is designed for the certain particular velocities. So these higher gas velocities, because of the leakage, that can affect the ESP performance. And this loss of fan margins leading to inefficient operation, and at times that will be restricting the unit loading. So if that fans won't have margins, so that we have to run the unit, the power plant, at lower, you can say, load. So typically a heater starts with a baseline leakage of 6 to 10% after an overhaul. So after an overhauling, that leakage starts with a reference of 6 to 10%. What we are measuring is basically leakage through radial seals at hot and cold end. Then leakage through circumferential seal is quite significant, or it is in good amount, and that has a major effect on heat transfer. Leakage is expressed as a percentage of inlet gas flow, not on the basis of percentage of fan input flow. So the leakage is assumed to occur entirely between air inlet and gas outlet. How it is measured? So some empirical relation is given there, and that is based on the concentration of O2 or CO2 in the flue gas. So the air heater leakage can be calculated by measuring the percentage of oxygen and CO2 in flue gas at air heater inlet, and percentage of oxygen and carbon dioxide in flue gas at air heater outlet. So in terms of the carbon dioxide, air heater leakage will be given as what is the carbon dioxide percentage at the inlet minus carbon dioxide percentage at outlet divided by carbon dioxide percentage at outlet multiplied by 0.9 multiplied by 100. That is based on the carbon dioxide measurement in flue gas at inlet and outlet. So this is flue gas inlet, flue gas outlet. Definitely because of short circuiting, the air will leak through the seals and it will directly reach to the flue gas, and hence the percentage of oxygen at outlet in flue gas will increase in comparison with the percentage of oxygen at inlet. So in terms of the percentage of oxygen, we will measure the oxygen percentage in flue gas at outlet minus oxygen percentage in flue gas at inlet divided by 21 minus oxygen percentage at outlet multiplied by 0.9 into 100. That will give the air heater leakage. So for an example, suppose at inlet at flue gas oxygen percentage at inlet of flue gas is suppose 2.8, and oxygen percentage at outlet of flue gas is 5.7. So by this empirical formula, definitely the percentage of oxygen at outlet will be more because of that air is short circuiting and directly going to the flue gas, or it is mixing with the flue gas. So by this relation you will see that 5.7 minus 2.8 divided by 21 minus 5.7 into 0.9 into 100, that will give you the air leakage percentage as 70.1%. So how this air leakage impacts the performance of power plant? So this air heater is responsible for at least 10% of a unit's thermal efficiency. Excessive leakage can deteriorate net unit efficiency as well as reduce power generation. Apart from this, it lowers the fan margin and lower gas exit temperature due to high leakage, and because of this mixing, extra air that is mixing with the flue gas. So at the outlet of the air heater, volume of flue gas will get increased, and ultimately that has to go to the electrostatic precipitator, and it affects the performance of ESP also. So there is one more arrangement that is known as steam coiled air preheater, that is SCAF. Basically, it comes in picture when we are going for the cold boiler light up. At that time, the flue gas temperature at the inlet of air preheater will be somewhere in the range of 150 to 200 degrees centigrade, which can be reduced further, or it can fall down because of the coming in contact with the cold secondary air, and there may be chances that can reach to the sulfur dew point temperature because the flue gas may contain sulfur dioxide. So that will form sulfuric acid and it will cause the cold end corrosion. So SCAF is used to heat the secondary air comes from the FD fan before APH during cold boiler light up to prevent the cold end corrosion in the flue gas path of air preheater. So when, in nutshell, you can understand that when the available temperature of flue gas at the inlet of air preheater is less, that is in between a range of 150 to 200 degrees centigrade, in that case, if directly that flue gas is passes through the air preheater after mixing or after transferring its heat to the incoming secondary air, cold secondary air, its temperature may fall further below, and chances will be there that it can go up to the dew point temperature of the sulfur. Because of that, sulfuric acid may form, and which can cause the cold end corrosion. To prevent this, in cold starting of the boiler, we are using that steam coiled air preheater, for which heating medium comes from the auxiliary PRDS. So PRDS is basically pressure reducing and de-superheating unit. Pressure reducing and de-superheating station. So in cold boiler light up, we will take the service of SCAF for heating the secondary air. So here we will see the operating parameters of air preheater for a 210 megawatt power plant. So this is first thing is flue gas inlet, medium is gas, operating pressure is not that much significant here. Mainly the temperature we have to see. So it will be in a range of 350 to 400 degrees centigrade. Then flue gas outlet temperature range will be 130 to 150. Means after transferring heat to the cold secondary air or primary air, its temperature will get reduced. Primary or the secondary air inlet, the medium is air. So temperature will be at inlet 40 to 45 degrees centigrade. Once that air is coming out from the air preheater, its temperature changes from 300 to 330, between the range of 300 to 330 degrees centigrade. Support bearing medium is lube wire, so the temperature is more than 40 degrees centigrade. Guide bearing 40 degrees centigrade. In support bearing lube oil pump outlet, pressure will range from between 1 to 5 KSC, that is kilogram force per square centimeter. Similarly, other parameters you can see here. So with this, we are through with the air preheater portion. So thank you very much for hearing with patience. For any query, please again you can contact over this mail ID. One video for just getting proper understanding of how the preheater works, how leakages takes place, what is the arrangement of seals, will be sent you separately, and just go through it. That is just for only your academic knowledge enhancement. Thank you very much.